I give the floor to the representative of the Russian Federation.
Madam President, we have taken note of the factual briefing by Assistant Secretary General Alekseyevich on the latest in a series of Israeli attacks targeting the territory of the Syrian Arab Republic. We believe it is strange that a representative of the Secretariat is using terms such as a rules-based international order, which our Western partners love to use so much, instead of referring to the UN Charter and international law. We thank the Maltese presidency for promptly convening today's emergency meeting of the Security Council under the agenda item Threats to International Peace and Security. We requested it to discuss the incessant missile and bomb attacks by the Israeli Defense Forces targeting various sites in Syria, against the backdrop of the unprecedented scale of casualties brought about by the military operation of West Jerusalem in the Gaza Strip, which continues despite the demand of UN Security Council Resolution 2728 for an immediate ceasefire. We are extremely concerned by such blatant disregard by the Israeli authorities, with the connivance of the United States, for a legally binding decision of the Council. A prime example is Israel's attack on a humanitarian convoy leading a warehouse in central Gaza, coordinated by the NGO World Central Kitchen. Several aid workers were killed in that airstrike. The fact that the actions of the Israeli military caused the deaths of innocent civilians was recognized even by the Prime Minister of Israel. We trust that we will discuss this matter separately at another time. Today, we're here to consider another aspect of Israel's reckless actions. Madam President, yesterday, on April 1st, the Israeli Air Forces struck the consulate of the Islamic Republic of Iran in Damascus. As a result of the attack, the building was leveled to the ground. The office of the ambassador of the Islamic Republic of Iran to Syria was also damaged. Reports indicate that there's a significant number of dead and wounded among his staff. We condemn this attack in the strongest terms. We consider any attacks on diplomatic and consular premises, the inviolability of which is guaranteed by the relevant Vienna Conventions of 1961 and 1963, to be categorically unacceptable. We would like to draw particular attention to the fact that this is not the first attack carried out by Israel in a densely populated area of the capital, Damascus, which has generated high risks of mass casualties among civilians. Since the beginning of the escalation of the Palestinian-Israeli confrontation on October 7, the number of Israeli attacks on Syrian civilian infrastructure and Syria's neighbors has multiplied. Thus, on the night of March 29th, Israeli aircraft launched strikes on various facilities in the vicinity of Aleppo. That attack caused dozens of casualties, with many more injured. Earlier, on March 28th, 2 civilians were injured in an Israeli airstrike in Damascus province. On March 17 and 19, Israeli shelling was directed at the northeastern and southern suburbs of Damascus from the occupied Syrian Golan. In the past few months alone, Israeli aircraft have attacked the international airports in Damascus and Aleppo several times. These airports serve as the main gateway for the entry of United Nations humanitarian aid into Syria. They also struck the areas of Deir ez-Zor and Abu Kemal, where the Syrian military continues its persistent struggle against the remaining militants of terrorist groups, to whom our American colleagues, despite their loud statements, are in fact providing patronage and protection. But we will leave this topic for another Security Council meeting dedicated to the situation in Syria. Madam President, the Russian Federation decisively condemns the ongoing raids on the sovereign territory of Syria and views them as a flagrant violation of the sovereignty and territorial integrity of that state. We're of the view that such aggressive actions by Israel are designed to further fuel the conflict. They're absolutely unacceptable and must stop. We urge West Jerusalem to abandon the practice of provocative acts of force on the territory of Syria and other neighboring countries. which is fraught with extremely dangerous risks and consequences for the entire region, a region that is already destabilized as the result of the 6-month escalation of violence around Gaza. We call on the international community to unequivocally condemn Israel's reckless actions, which violate the sovereignty of the Syrian Arab Republic and the inviolability of diplomatic property. We consider it necessary for all responsible members of the international community to provide an objective legal assessment of Israel's aggression in the Middle East, which ignores not only the provisions of the UN Charter and relevant resolutions of the Security Council and the General Assembly, but also the fundamental principles of the Vienna Conventions on Diplomatic and Consular Relations. Colleagues, I am counting on the solidarity of the members of the Council regarding the fact that attacks on diplomatic institutions are unacceptable. After all, if we do not reaffirm this position of solidarity, next time the diplomatic mission of any state could be targeted by an air raid. We trust that each of you today will give a fair assessment to Israel's actions against the Iranian diplomatic mission. I thank you.